parliamentarian to do what is right. And statistically, and the data shows, and the facts, as the Attorney General show that this is their legislation. And only the passage of time, and we've seen the type of behavior and what is taking place now. This is the government solution, and we call upon everybody to act responsibly and to support the legislation, and let's pass it for Trinidad and Tobago.
Talked about not giving bail to persons who are found with guns repeatedly, right? I'm not sure if it was part of the anti-gang bill or part of the bail bill, but I know that you just said you're taking out the bail aspect of the anti-gang bill that you're going before Parliament with. What are the implications of doing that in terms of, because a large part of gang-related activity has to do with guns and then bail, and then they go back out?
Sure. Anti-gang and bail stand separate, but obviously there's a linkage. Trinidad and Tobago had a Bail Act which was passed in 1994, and then there were many amendments that happened to the Bail Act, basically getting more and more strict over time, going from 3 strikes to 2 strikes to 1 strike to a charge. All of that collapsed when the UNC allowed the expiration clause, the sunset clause, to set. They didn't care whether kidnapping for ransom was being thrown out, child molestation, sexual offenses against children. All of that fell flat when the expiry of the law came on August 15, 2016. To make this easy, to make it simple, we're not going to even bring the bail issue together with the anti-gang law. We're going to put that separately because it can be treated with separately. So we are bringing a very simple, straightforward law, which, let me put it squarely again, which is exactly the law that was good enough for Trinidad and Tobago under Kamla Prasad's predecessor. We're bringing that law back to the Parliament. And therefore there is no logical reason for it not to achieve support and pass into law. Specifically, this is driven by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. They have asked for it. You've heard them in media conferences saying, we have no anti-gang law. What was missing was the support of a government to the TTPS, the creation of a unit, the staffing, the supply of intelligence by a reformed intelligence agency. None of that was done. Yesterday I gave you statistics, numbers, areas, divisions of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to ask the citizens of this country, when is it going to be enough? That video of Nikki Crosby saying that she vomited out of fear for the incident at the Beetham. When are we going to stop having that? Because the conversation moved away from the police going behind known gang members in the Beetham to supporters of that gang reality coming out to intimidate the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. The truth is the police had the situation well under control. Obviously there may be a flare and then there's a suppression that happens. But the conversation has moved away from that kind of gang support. And the country has got to say enough is enough. We as a government can only bring legislation and support agencies. We've supported the agencies and we're bringing the legislation. And we have provided it since August 4th, 2017. What has to happen as well is an intolerance for goalpost shifting. We have been consistent in our path. We have complied with all of the requests of the Leader of the Opposition. No government before this government, in my memory, has come out with statistics of Trinidad and Tobago the way we do. No government, certainly no Attorney General's office, has come out and provided track change version of bills, statistical information, background. Usually, you get called to Parliament and you are presented with a bill. I've served in Parliament now for 7 years, going on 8 years. I have never participated with the kind of courtesy that the Attorney General's office offers now in the Parliament for the time that the UNC was in control. So I want to caution against lumping all politicians in the same dirty pot. It's not true. You cannot have stood in opposition as we did, support 94 to 96% of the work that came from the last government, and say that we are in the same circumstance as they are.
So Rawi, treating with both separately, what I want to find out is from a law perspective, are there any loopholes that perhaps criminal lawyers can use which may actually put...
In not treating with the bail at the same time? No. We have Section 6 of the Bail Act, Section 4 of the Bail Act, as it stands right now, allows for judicial discretion for bail to be applied in circumstances. What the anti-gang law does is that it creates the crime of being in a gang, of being a gang leader, of having gang membership, of recruiting, of going to schools, of going to places of worship and carrying out activities. That law does not exist. So you see all of those videos of X gang versus Y gang, who has more gold chain than who carrying weapons more than who is going to carry out what mission. All of that now forms evidence for gang activity. And that means that you're going to have people in trouble. That did not exist before. It has reared its head. All of us know about it. And it can't just be that it is just 23 members in the House of Representatives that have a point of view. Surely the people of Trinidad and Tobago have a point of view, and surely the media has a point of view. Because I didn't notice this as a very prominent story carried in the press. Certainly it was buried somewhere down on page 5, page 6 of a few of the newspapers. I don't know when last the media was given the specific number of gang members in Trinidad and Tobago, or by location or by division. I thought that was quite unique. I guess I'm on my own in that view. Yeah, well, there comes a point, Ria, if I say this, where Bacchanal has to take a backseat to the safety of Trinidad and Tobago.
Minister Deyalsingh, going back to the central block for the Port Spain Hospital, I just would like to know how many patients possibly would be affected when construction on the central block begins.
So no patients are going to be affected. We are building a new central block. When that new central block is finished, then patients from the old central block will move across.
We know breaking down of the old block.
Well, we have identified a site for the construction of a new block. What we are doing in the initial phase is constructing new facilities for certain departments like engineering, central stores. They will then be moved. When they are moved, we demolish the old colonial style buildings which have been condemned. And on that site, which is just south of the existing A&E, will be the site for the new central block, 540 beds. What I also want to alert the national community to is that once we do that, with all the hospital construction projects point forth in AREMA, our current bed stock in Trinidad and Tobago is 3,167, which gives you a bed to patient ratio of 2.43 per thousand. That's how we measure things internationally. When all the hospital construction projects are finished, including the new central block, the additional space will move from 3,167 beds to 3,827 beds, which then gives you a bed-to-patient ratio of 2.94 per thousand. That will then put us in the same league as countries like the United Kingdom and the United States, where we can measure against. Added to that, we estimate in the private sector, you have about 450 to 500 beds. If you add that bed stock for the totality, we will then move to over 3.3 beds per thousand, which is a pretty good place to be in when you combine the public stock with the private stock.
I mean, do you have any concerns at all relying solely on the vote arrangements?
No, we are confident that investors will come forward. As we say, parked money earns nothing. We need to put money to work. The same way you put people to work, money is only valuable if you put it to work. And there's so much excess liquidity in the system, we feel confident that investors, whether private, local investors, or foreign investors, will see this as an opportunity for them.
You have this project done by, or do you have a time frame where you like to see it
As
realized?
soon as humanly possible. We are going to start the process right now. Cabinet has given me the authority to start the process as of today.
Ria, I just want to go back to the issue with the ferry because I'm some angry Tobagoans on with me. In the future, going forward, seen as the Port Authority has failed 6 times, will the responsibility of procuring a vessel in the future be given to the Port Authority, or should we just do this cabinet subcommittee thing or another body? Because if you all could do it in the shortest time possible and in 2 weeks you'll have an answer for us, then clearly the Port Authority isn't either equipped to get it done or doesn't have the personnel to get it done.
The government is looking at it. The government has moved in at the cabinet level to do what we think is necessary at this point in time to ensure there's a solution in the shortest possible time frame. As I said, prior to this and on other occasions, they've used other state agencies like NIDCO. We'll look at it and we'll come to a conclusion on it. Ria?
I have two questions. One on the anti-gang rate. Wouldn't it have been better to have taken that bill to the Senate where the environment is less partisan and more reasonable, and have it passed, and then use that momentum to take it into the House of Representatives?
The tactic of approaching the Senate as opposed to the House of Representatives really doesn't arise at all. Because you have, as Minister Young put it so powerfully, you have 23 votes on the government side. We require the opposition's support in the lower house. They are the persons that have paternity of the same bill. Therefore, it is so axiomatically simple that passage ought to really flourish. Therefore, the population ought to have an answer very quickly as to who is intent on supporting the law, upholding the best interests of Trinidad and Tobago or not. We're not required to play games here or to engage in tactics. It's either the opposition says yes to their own law or says no to their own law. And then they have to explain to the country why.
The other matter, on we see today that the person who made the accusation of sexual harassment against the ambassador chair has been fired for allegedly performance-related matters. But given what is taking place in the world at the moment in particular, and the kind of almost the avalanche of actions being taken against people who are accused of any sexually inappropriate behavior, does it worry the government that Trinidad and Tobago is being seen to be almost punishing the victim and going against what could be deemed what is progressive, the progressive trend, and whether the competitors of Angostura, the external competitors of Angostura, could use what is taking place to hurt the company, because we see there's this call for boycott, and companies outside looking on can use this against the company, which could affect, of course, its economic prosperity.
First of all, the situation at Angostura is Angostura's. There's a board of Angostura, there's a management of Angostura. Secondly, this government does not tolerate or support in any form or fashion discrimination or wrongdoing. However, there is due process in this country. This issue at Angostura is one which has passed through several layers of process. There are rights in this country, and we have very robust courts as well. The actions that you've referred to in other jurisdictions where there are allegations of discrimination and impropriety, all are going through a due process environment. But I want to just say something very carefully. The situation at Angostura, from another perspective, there is a significant amount of investigative work that has been undertaken in relation to matters concerning fraud, conspiracies, etc. Forensic reports have been conducted and finished, and there are matters that are receiving attention. And I would just be very careful to caution that we need to make sure that all facts are known first before we go there. So let me put this in a clean context. The firing of someone who I don't even know, I'm not aware of, etc. The government has no part or function or fashion in that. There is a fiduciary responsibility and role and function of the board and management of Angostura to do as it proposes and as it has done. There is a clear process of rights that can be upheld in any court of law, and our courts are very robust in that fashion, and we certainly support that. What I can tell you is that Angostura is not a very simple environment, and that there is a lot that is afoot that is the subject of significant work and investigative function, and which will no doubt find itself in the proper forum at the proper time.
From every other board that was on.
I am very, very, very careful not to associate myself with guessing as to why someone has done something or not. Public pressure and public ridicule are not easy things in this country. I should know. It's not an easy thing. And what I certainly don't do is to celebrate in guesses, hypotheticals, or positions. It really is essential that we confine ourselves to facts and circumstances. And if you look to the multiple levels of public disclosure in relation to the umpteen reports that have come out, disciplinary committee, Mr. Justice Nelson. Mr. Justice Nelson is no small man in the arena of law. I don't know what those things say. I'm not involved in any of that, but I'm always very cautious to make sure that the full story is known.
Off topic, has the cabinet received any report concerning the escape of Biggie Boudreaux from prison?
In cabinet, I am actually acting as the Minister of National Security right now. I see one of the calls that was coming through was from the Commissioner of Prisons, who I've been in constant contact with. Yesterday evening, I also met with the Commissioner of Police. We have been in cabinet. There was no report presented to cabinet today, but we've been in cabinet. I haven't been able to be in touch with them for the most recent update since this morning, as we don't carry our phones into cabinet. And I will be getting an update shortly, I'm sure.
Chair, the absolute the population is at a complete loss as to how all the persons who had custody of Ms. Boudreaux just left her. I mean, at some stage, someone left her standing without any security.
The answer is yes. When I first became aware of this incident a couple of days ago, like every other law-abiding citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, I was in a state of complete shock and disbelief. Immediately upon making inquiries, as a government, what we do is we just stand in support of our law enforcement agencies, encourage them along the right path, and we all await the outcome. But there is no doubt in any reasonable person's mind that there must be persons or people held accountable for what has happened. There has been a breakdown. We all wait anxiously to find out where that breakdown took place. And I can tell you all, without breaching the confidence of my meeting with the Commissioner of Police yesterday, he is intent on, when a person is found to be accountable, to use the powers that he has over the TTPS to ensure that there is discipline. But I don't want to be premature. We're still waiting on the gathering of the facts. It may have happened in the last few hours, I'm not sure. But yes, the answer is, as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we are very concerned and we await the outcome of the investigations that are taking place.
For Ms. Boudreaux, and the investigation is going on along that path. There's an investigation also going on within the judiciary, within the court system, because let's say the officers, they've come with a document.
The answer is yes.
We'll be looking at who staffed it in the first place, who allowed that document.
The answer is yes. In fact, as part of the conversations I had yesterday, that particular document has gone along the chain of custody now into the hands of the police officers who are actively investigating this. And just like you, we would assume that that is the line of investigation that needs to take place. Where did this document originate from? Who is it that authorized this? We know it's not a real document. I have that information, that the signature on the document is a fraudulent signature. How does someone get a stamp, etc.? So let's wait the outcome of that. But yes, that investigation is taking place. And I would expect, and I can say here now publicly and openly, we expect that the fullest possible investigation takes place and that there will be protection of absolutely no one.
To find out, she escaped though, because she, according to the prison commissioner, she would have left on Monday night. We found out via a leaked internal memo on Tuesday, and the only official correspondence from the TTPS asking the public to look out for her came after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, saying to call 800 tips 555. Why weren't we told the next day, the morning? I live in Aruka, that's around the area. Maybe I saw her.
Well, we're getting a lot of conflicting reports, and I'm seeing, one of the things I was discussing with some of my colleagues is we're getting conflicting reports from the media. So I'm seeing suggestions she appeared in court, etc. There's another suggestion that no, she never went to court from the women's prison. She was taken to the Tunapuna police station, and but then another media report reports that no, she turned up in Superior Court the next one. I want to wait the outcome of the written reports that are going to be provided to me by both the prison service and the Trinidad and Tobago police service, and at that stage, then I would be in a position to comment with facts. I'm not going to speculate at this stage. The first impression, the first announcement that I certainly was brought or made aware of was when the internal memo of the immigration service went viral. Look out at the courts for this. I am not in a position now to answer for either the prison service or the police service as to why it took so long, or did it really take so long? Was it a combination of errors or subterfuge, etc.? As to why it took so long for us to be alerted. I simply don't have the answer for that.
Can I just add something into this? And this is a general statement. There's a very old saying from Napoleon: never disturb your enemy when he's in the middle of making a mistake. If you jump out the blocks too fast, form a position too quickly, say something which alerts somebody to exactly the wrongdoing that they're doing, you'd be in trouble. We're living in an environment of fake news. We're living in an environment of need for sobriety, and it is really important that you get the facts straight. How fast you get the facts is also critical. So let's just be careful to make sure we get the story right. I was in Guyana recently and in Jamaica recently, and I'm astounded at how thin their newspapers are. Really and truly astounded. I sometimes wonder if it's, a little handout publication or something like that. Our newspapers don't look anything like that. So we have to make sure that we get things managed carefully. What Minister Young, acting as Minister of National Security, is doing is bringing in the facts. Secondly, the Commissioner of Police, as he said, this is the important conversation. He has the constitutional authority under the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, the supreme law of Trinidad and Tobago, to manage the police force. And we certainly expect that that will be carried out anxiously and with full force. The good news about this situation is that the pot is not too large, so we cannot expect this thing to take too long.
Yes. You said that the document had fake signatures, but did the document in fact originate from within the court? Can you confirm?
And that is the investigation that I expect to be taking place now, and I have not been provided with the answer to that as yet.
Do you think that we need to perhaps have certain things in place whereby certain documents, just like we have in money, you can't really, you can forge it, but there are certain things on it that you know it's original, right? Like a watermark and so on. Do you think that we can actually have those things with certain important documents, things like warrants, things that come from the courts?
I think the answer is let's wait and see what is the outcome of the investigation. I've been around the court system for a long time, and it is not difficult for stamps to be created, etc. Obviously, we would expect that the authorities, having gone through this experience now, would tighten up procedures, etc. But as the AG has said, I don't want to speculate. I'm not into the realm of speculation. Let's wait and see what the outcome is. But what I do expect is, as a country, every time an error is made, we learn from the error, and we try to plug whatever gaps there may be. Okay, last.
It comes from a business report of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the TTMA says it's been 2 years and an entire year since they got their VAT refunds, and they're wondering what's the update with that.
In my discussions with the Minister of Finance over the last 24 hours, I believe that a release will come out very shortly from the Ministry of Finance directed specifically at that issue. What I was being told last night is it appears as though there's been a complete misinterpretation of a report from the IMF. And let's just wait for the Ministry of Finance to clarify. I believe this may be another instance of what the Honorable Attorney General referred to a short while ago as fake and false news, and that is about to be corrected. And I was quite shocked at what I was told last night, and I simply hope there is not an element of mischief afoot by the persons who have been promulgating exactly what you've just referred to. All right, thank you all very much. I appreciate your time as usual.
That was the weekly post-cabinet media briefing. For the stories coming out of the briefing, stay tuned to CTV and News. I'm Stacey Ann Providence. Good afternoon.